called histograms. Finally, something that you guys want to learn about. Because what is histograms? Histograms is just the history of Instagram. Psych, I'm capping. It's about math, y'all. All right, so you should have your notes in front of you, and you're going to be filling out your notes as I'm going along with the video. But histograms is honestly really easy. I know that I say that a lot. I probably say that so much that you guys have stopped believing me. But truthfully, with histograms, this is like you're just making a graph, and like I can't explain how ridiculously simple this is. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. So one thing that you will notice about histograms is that histograms are different from bar graphs in the sense that they do not touch. The bars on a histogram the bars on a histogram do touch. The bars on a regular bar graph do not touch. The other thing that you will notice is that at the bottom of our histograms, you will see that they are normally with a range of data. So they're telling like you're kind of grouping a bunch of numbers up together and including them in a group, versus in a bar graph, what you will usually see is that they will be broken up into categories. So that's also the difference between bar graphs and histograms, other than the fact that bar graphs, they have gaps in between and they do not touch. The bars don't touch. But in histograms, the bars do touch, and they are a range of numbers at the bottom instead of categories. All right, let's get into making some histograms here. All right, so with this, what we're going to do is we're going to look at our data set up here. So this will be called our data set, or my data set. And at the bottom of my histogram down here, I see that I have a range of data, or a range of numbers that I'm going to include whenever I'm making my histogram. So our first one is going to be between numbers that are 0 to 5. You can include 0. You can include 5. So up here, out of my data set, I see that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I got 6. And even though this kind of goes up to 5, let me put a little 6 right there. All right. Bam. So my first between 0 to 5 is going to have 6. I don't know what this data set is supposed to represent. Let's say it represents how many pictures people have on their phones or something like that. All right. Next one is between 6 and 10. And then up here, I have between 6 and 10, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this one's going to be right around here. Actually, I'm not going to bother filling it in because I don't want to waste a lot of time. All right. Next up, I have between 11 and 15. So I see that I have none. None of the numbers that I have listed up here are between, so none of the numbers in my data set are between 11 and 15. So that one's just going to be 0. And then next up, I have 16 to 20. And that is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Another one that is 5. So also notice that when I was counting my numbers from my data set, is that you're going to have to be mindful to make sure that you're counting all of the numbers, or that you're looking at all of the numbers, because what you see here is that 20, 20, and then 20 over here. Our numbers are not always going to be listed in chronological order, or not just our numbers, our data is not always going to be listed in chronological order, meaning it's not always going to go from like the least to the biggest, or from the biggest to the smallest. They're not always going to be in order. So you got to make sure that you're looking through every single number before you're plotting them on your histogram. All right, last one is 21 through 25, and we have 1 and 2. And then that's it. Y'all, see, this is what I'm talking about. This stuff is easy. This stuff is light work. All right, let's go ahead and go on to our next example here. All right. Our first set again is 0 to 5, and up here I have 1 and 2, and I'm making sure to look through the rest of my numbers that I don't have any others. All right, so I have 2 right there. All right. Next one is between 6 and 10, and for 6 and 10 I have 1, and that's it. So I'm going to just put this one right here. All right, next up, I have between 11 and 15, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See what I'm talking about? Like 19, 15, 19, they're not in order. So let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, wait, 5. That was just those 5. Never mind. Wait, no, we're on 11 to 15. All right, so 11 to 15, 1, 2, 3, 4. This was our 5, and that should be it. So those 5 should go into this part right here, into this range between 11 and 15. All right, next up, 16 to 20. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This one's also going to be 5. All right, and then lastly, between 21 and 25, we have 1, 2, 3. And you also got to make sure that the last numbers, like just because there's 3 numbers left doesn't necessarily mean you're going to use those last 3 numbers in your histogram. In this case, it did end up like that, but that's not always going to be the case, especially when you guys do like the IXLs and stuff like that, because you know the people at IXL, they like to throw you guys curveballs and whatnot. All right, so we had 3 for this last one, and that's it. Man, this stuff is way too easy. I could be doing this stuff in my sleep. All right, the other thing that you might have to do is you're going to be answering questions based off of information that you are seeing in your histogram, like from a histogram, especially on the SOL. You guys are going to be given histograms that'll look like this, and you're going to have to answer questions based off of the information that you see here. So this one is measuring the ages of Nintendo Switch users in Lynchburg. All right, so our first question says, how many Switch users are between the ages of 6 and 11? So this is my range right here, 6 and 11, and I see that we have 3. So 3 users are between 6 and 11. Question 2 says, what age range has the most amount of users? And I'm just looking for which one has the highest, and that would be this one right here, which is 12 to 17. So I would write here 12 to 17. All right, next up says, what age range has the least amount of users? And it looks like that would be this one right here, which is 0 to 5. Boom. I mean, my 5-year-old was playing the Switch by the time he was 5. And lastly, how many total users are there? All right, so here's where like you'll kind of end up with like a little bit of a tricky question. So how many total users are there? What you're going to do is, this is how many, down here you have the different ranges of people that are included in this survey. Here you have how many people fit into that category. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to tally up or total up all of the categories that we have here. I'm sorry, not the categories, but all of the ranges that we have here, all the groups of people, and I'm going to have to add them all together. So this one includes 1. This one here includes 3. So I'm going to write a little 3 right here. This one here, 12 to 17, we have 5 people. From 18 to 23, we have 4 people. And then from 24 to 29, we have 2 people. All right, so if I were to add that up, that's 1 plus 3 is 4, plus 5 is 9, plus 4 is 13, plus 2 is 15. So this histogram right here is representing 15 people total. And then on number 5, how many fewer users are between the ages of 24 to 29 than 0 to 5? So when it's asking how many fewer, that means you're going to be subtracting those 2. So how many people do we have in 24 to 29? We have 2. How many people do we have in 0 to 5? I'm going to write this underneath here. We have 1, right? I see here that we only have 1. And then I'm subtracting those 2. So how many fewer users are between 24 to 29 than in 0 to 5? Only 1. All right, easy stuff. All right, let's go on to the next one. This should be our last example. Yeah. All right, this one here, answering questions here based off of the information that we have that's represented in our histogram. And this one is, the histogram below will show you the student scores for a quiz. On the side here, we are measuring how many students fit into the scores of 50 to 59, 60 to 69, and so forth. All right, so it says that most students score between what? So I'm looking for which category, not category, man, I keep saying that, which range has the most students. This one right here, 80 to 89. So most students score between an 80 and an 89. Next question says, how many students scored between 80 and 89? So I would count how many total do we have here, and this one caps off at 9. So 9 students scored between 80 and 89. Question 7 says, how many students are represented in this graph? This is the same question that we went over with this one here, where we're trying to tally up how many total people are we talking about. All right, so we're going to do the same thing. So this one right here represents 2. This one here represents 3. This one here represents 7. This one here represents 9. And this one here represents 1. So let's add them all up. So 1 plus 9 is 10. 10 plus 7 is 17. 17 plus 3 is 20. 20 plus 2 is 22. So 22 students total are represented in this histogram. All right, if a student scored a 59, to which bar would they be added to? I would say between that very first one, so between 50 and 59. All right, super easy stuff. Once you guys are done filling out your notes, the next thing you guys have to do is the worksheet that should be available to you guys. Good luck with it. Hit me up if you guys need anything. Peace out. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.